Content optimization and keyword density. Now, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, I don't necessarily believe that the best piece of content on the subject wins. People say that in order to rank in Google, you just go out there and commission the best piece of content, or you write it yourself, you throw it up there on a website, and you're just going to magically get all the rankings and get all the visitors. I don't believe that. The best piece of content in terms of information and knowledge might not be what the robot actually wants to see, and the robot doesn't want to see spammed keywords. She was programmed not to like that and to detect it as spam. Anytime you have a very, very high volume or high density of the same keywords over and over, that's a spam signal to the robot. So if we know the general rules that the robot likes, we can use this to our advantage. Many people disagree that keyword density is actually a thing. Well, let's put it like this. When I'm trying to decide if a site is worth buying, when I'm vetting sites on Empire Flippers or FE International, so I can increase its rankings and make a profit on the flip later, if the keyword density is too high, that's a huge deciding factor that makes me more interested in buying it. Why? Because when I know I apply my formula, I know I'm going to see a ranking increase in a few weeks at most. Keyword density matters, and when you have over optimization on the keyword density, you can always get a quick win by fixing things up.
Now here's an important thing to note. What I'm about to show you right now is general rules for keyword density. And what I mean by that, it's not niche specific. These are general rules that would apply to any niche, any keyword, whatever. And it's just going to keep you in your lane. And it's very simple, hard and fast rules for people that just want to do a good enough job. Let's just call it good enough. And what we're going to provide is mins and max on how much you should include single word frequencies for keywords. The best way to do this, however, is by reverse engineering competition and getting a niche-specific keyword density. So you're actually looking at your keywords themselves, you're looking at the competition and what they use to get to these top positions, and you're going to figure out what's the best way to use that data going forward. Now, there's a couple different ways of doing that. Manually, it just doesn't work. There's algorithms involved in this, complicated algorithms. Obviously, Google is not just like counting words and figuring out some basic rules on how it's going to rank content. There's intense algorithms involved, and manually is going to get you tripped up. The best way to do it is using tools, and basically check out the resource section for my current recommended tool on how to do keyword density. But for now, let's just get things done with some general rules so you get a high level picture on how all this stuff works.
So here's how single word keyword density works. I focus mostly on single word keyword density. I don't concentrate too much on making sure that the phrases aren't repeated too much. I look at it more in single words because I know the robot does too since 2012, and Hummingbird started to change the rules on this. So the rule is, at least my rule, is go for 2 to 3% keyword density for the single words. Or, in another way, for every 500 words in your article length, only have a single word of a target keyword phrase 10 to 15 times. So let's say, for example, I have a 500-word article on vitamin C serum. I'm going to look at the single word, vitamin C, and serum, and make sure they only show up 10 to 15 times maximum. If I had a 1,000-word article, I would double these numbers. So why do I write it out a second way? The second way is just used to look at it and make things a little bit easier. So if I have a 5,000-word article, I'll just simply multiply these numbers by 10, so I know that I have a maximum of 100 to 150. Just an easy way to simplify things. So how to do this, or how to check for single word keyword density issues. First, you're just going to open the page, and then you're just going to do Control F. And then you're going to search for each single word of your keyword phrase on that page. So for example, if I just pick some random juicer review site on the interwebs, and I load this thing up, I'm going to load it in Chrome, and then I'll type Control F for find, and then I'll type the word juicer. Juicers, oh, I know this article is 1,338 words long, and I see 36 instances of juicer. That is okay in my book, no over optimization. So the nitty-gritty details on this. Number one, and this is a very, very frequently asked question, everything on the page counts. I'm talking about your sidebar, navigation bar, footer, etc. So if you have the word juicer, and you have for example, a recent post widget in your sidebar, and it has the last 10 articles about juicing, and they all have the word juicer in them, that counts towards your keyword density, even though the article we're talking about doesn't have that high of a keyword density. So everything on the page counts. Even in the footer, where you might have a link back to the home page that uses the word juicer in it, that counts too. What else counts? Alt tags and file names count. So even your images, if you put the word juicer in an alt tag and the file name for one image, that's 2 more counts of the word juicer and whatever words are also in that alt tag and file name. Also, plural equals singular. So if you're counting up the word, let's say juicer and juicers, that counts towards each other. So if you had 10 counts of juicer on the page and you had 10 counts of juicers, that's 20 for each. So there's 20 juicer and 20 juicers. Go ahead and ignore stop words like for, but, if, and, then, etc. Don't worry about counting those. Okay, story time. I had a site, and I'm sure many Amazon affiliates will relate to this story. When you're trying to rank basic stuff in Amazon, you're always going for blank, whatever your product is, and then reviews, right? So it might be ergonomic chair reviews. You might have noticed that if you're ranking for ergonomic chair reviews and you want to also rank for ergonomic chair review, you actually need to write the singular word review on the page to have a fighting shot at ranking for it. So I noticed that I wasn't ranking for review, and I also noticed that I didn't write the singular word review on the page. So I got a wild hair up my ass, and I went into the alt tags and the file names of some of my files, of some of the images that were on the page, and I added the word review. Shot up from page 4 to page 1. So we learned 2 things here. We learned that review and reviews need to be explicitly mentioned in their plural and singular form, and also alt tags and file names do count towards what the parser sees and towards your keyword density. Here's another question that I always get is, why do I give it a range? Why do I say 2 to 3% for the maximum number of times you want on the page? It just depends on the word, right? The question is, are there a lot of synonyms for the word? If the answer is yes, then keep the density lower. For example, if I was trying to rank for vitamin C serum benefits, well, benefits has the synonyms advantages, aids, gains, so that I would kind of want to keep keyword density lower, maybe around the 2% range. But if the answer is no, I don't have a bunch of synonyms, keep the density higher. So for example, if I were trying to rank for gold bonds, right, and I'm trying to analyze how many times I put in the word gold, well, there's no synonyms for the word gold. Gold is just gold, so you can keep that one higher. Are there any exceptions to these rules? Of course, there's exceptions to everything in SEO. This is just simply a guideline for you to go by to make sure you're statistically always going to be safe, right? You're going to be able to find corner cases. There's going to be people ranking that violate these rules. That's fine, but they might be ranking in spite of that. Now, what happens if you get into a situation where you have too many of a single keyword on a page? What I'm going to ask you to do is replace it with what I call a Google synonym. Replace your over-optimized keywords with Google synonyms, and I'll show you what that is right now. So let's say we search for how to sell an automobile online. And let's go ahead and look at the result. It'd be here on the right. Now notice I typed how to sell an automobile online, but if we look in the SERP result, see the word car and see the word auto? These are actually bolded. Google is saying that it agrees that this word car is equal to automobile is equal to auto. So these are words you can substitute into your on-site SEO and get credit for the original word, but you won't trigger over-optimization problems. And a cool thing about this also applies to anchor text. If you get into a situation where you probably sent the word automobile too many times, for example, go ahead and switch to the word car. Now we talked about keyword density maximums, like how many times is a maximum you can put a keyword on the page. There's also minimums too. And remember, we want to give representation for all the little keywords in our long tail SEO as well. Why? Because remember the golden ratio. Traffic is the fuel for our engine, and we want to get all these little guys on the page, even if they have just a teeny tiny bit of search volume, because all that traffic matters. So keyword density minimums. Just make sure to place all the single words of each of these keywords somewhere on the page. FAQ might involve, how many times should I put these keywords on the page? I mean, just check the search volume. There's no hard rules here, but let's say, for example, like here's our keyword list for best vitamin C serums page, right? And we have some keywords like this, the word oily and the word market, right? There's not a huge amount of search volume here. There's 40 for best vitamin C serum for oily skin and 20 for best vitamin C serum on the market. So just toss these guys in the content 1 to 3 times. It's not a big deal. Just give them some representation. How about misspellings? Like what if there's actually search volume for vitamin C and they spell vitamin as VITAMEN, like it's raining men vitamin? Well, go ahead and get that word into your content somewhere because it's search volume and you can rank for it really easy. Ranking for misspellings is a great quick way to get traffic to your site. But maybe you don't want to put that in your content. It would actually look pretty sloppy to misspell the word vitamin on an expert vitamin C serum page. So go ahead and put that in an alt tag, right? Remember I told you that alt tags file names count. Go ahead and misspell it in an alt tag and that'll be good enough for you. Last question, do my keywords need to be in a string, right? So if I want to rank for, let's see, this keyword right here, vitamin C face serum reviews, do I need to have this exact string of words on the page somewhere? Absolutely not. Google is smart enough to not require all the words in a string together. That's why I focus mostly on single word keyword density. That said, let's take a look at keyword phrases. Keyword phrases, how many times should I have the keyword entire string, the keyword entire phrase on the page? I say just keep it very simple. The focus is on single word keyword density, but do get your very main keyword phrases on the page sometimes. If you want some hard rules, I don't recommend following hard rules, but if you want to be told what to do, I would say your top 1 to 3 keywords, just include them on the page 2 to 3 times together as a string. Maybe the top 4 to 5 keywords 1 time in a string, and the rest will be covered by your single word optimization.